Astrology, and this is the astrology birth chart for Grant Cardone. He has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. He's a sales guru, sales teacher. He's a real estate guy, best-selling author, and basically he teaches about money and how to make money. So let's start here with this stellium in Aries. So he's got an Aries Sun, and we don't have the birth time for this. This isn't correct. So we don't know the rising. So we have this Sun in Aries at 0 degrees, Moon in Aries conjunct Mercury, which we don't know if that's correct or where that moon is, but since it's at 15 degrees, we can assume that it is in Aries. And with that Sun being at 0 degrees Aries, it's a nice place to have that dual aspect between Pisces and Aries. And you can see the Sun is just, with the Sun just entering Aries, it's coming from a history of Pisces. So you can see with this guy, he's bringing these big dreams, this big personality, Pisces ruled by Jupiter, Neptune, which we'll get into. He's bringing that into action in this life with those 3 planets in Aries. And we can see the Mercury is in the Leo decan. He's definitely a creative guy. He's definitely a performer, a stage performer. And let's just skip right to it with that Pisces. The North Node here with Jupiter, as I said, Jupiter and Neptune ruling that Pisces where the Sun is moving out of. It's conjunct the North Node, Neptune in Scorpio, finance sign. It's retrograde. Jupiter at 29 degrees, retrograde in Libra, conjunct that North Node. So there's heavy purpose that has to do with money, teaching, big deals, big real estate, big money, and he's moving in that direction in this life. And what's interesting as well is that Jupiter at 29 degrees makes for extra importance for this big personality, for everything Jupiter. Expansion, 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 and it's in Libra. So it's adding that relationship piece and making it very social. So he also wants to expand his network. And this is part of the reason why he's gotten so big, because he's constantly meeting new people. He's constantly selling to new people. And he teaches this in his programs as well, to constantly be focusing on growth. And there's 2 other planets here in the social sign of Aquarius. I mentioned he was a YouTube guy. He got in on the internet early. He knew it was going to be big. He was doing video and technology back in the late 80s, I believe. And we see here this Mars and Venus. Mars his drive, and Venus where he makes his money. I mean, it's arguable that without the internet, he wouldn't have got as big as he got. So we definitely see him as a Uranus, Aquarius person who has made it big on YouTube. It's also making an opposition to that Uranus in Leo. So we see that internet aspect, that the Uranian quality has something to do with performing. It's also a retrograde. So with lots of retrogrades here, he's really showing his individuality too. He's a big individuality guy, he's big on asserting your individuality, selling yourself. And we can also see that Uranus is making a trine back to that stellium in Aries. And he has Saturn here in Sagittarius. So we have a grand trine in fire. He is a fiery guy. He talks about him being an introvert, extrovert, and he may very well have some introvert tendencies with that Aquarius. But come on, with this fire trine, 2 planets the Sun and Moon in Aries, with Saturn in Sagittarius, Jupiter on the North Node. This guy has no problem being in front of the camera. In fact, I'm sure he gains energy off of it. With that Saturn in Sagittarius, you can see his work has more to do with that Jupiter. It's also making a semi-sextile back to that Jupiter, and it's even in the Leo decan. So, part of the selling piece, it's not just that he's a good salesperson; he's a performer, and that's what makes it work. That makes the difference between him and a say like a sales guy that you might see just Sagittarius, Gemini angles in the chart. With this guy, there's that strong um, Leo and the performance aspect, which is part of the reason why he's so successful on YouTube here. We do see the Venus in the Gemini decan, so he definitely has some Gemini in the chart as well. And then obviously with that Mercury makes a sextile to Venus, so it really shows he has this opportunity to use his mind and his thinking ability to make money, to sell people. And we have the South Node in Taurus and the North Node in Scorpio. So this is a guy who's coming from money. He might not have had, he talks about growing up without money. But this is a guy who's coming, at the very least, he's coming from a place where he would be interested in money. He's interested in survival. He's interested in real estate. He's interested in living a decent life at the very least. And you can see here with the North Node, he's went hard into other people's money in order to make that happen for himself and the people around him. He also has a Mars square the nodes, and it's moving away from that Scorpio. So again, you can see in this life, he's really has that need to expand into the Scorpio energy of other people's money, and probably could get into more detail about this other things that Scorpio represents that I'm sure he's involved in. And in this life, you can see he's gotten to the point where he may have been going back and forth between that Scorpio Taurus angle, and he's really found the key with that expansion, just in his mind, to constantly be expanding into other people's money, and you can't go wrong. That would be his philosophy. It's right here written in the chart. He also has Uranus in Leo squaring that node, and we could say that he's also found the key in real estate, and being a real estate guy also works for him. The performing in selling, how to make money, how to make it in real estate, etc. So we definitely see the dual aspect here in his life with the selling and the real estate. We could also say he's a Pluto guy. Just a couple more things here, if you're still with me. He's a Pluto guy, a Pluto sun, which represents him being interested in power. In this case, it's probably more has to do with other people's money. We can see it's in the Scorpio inconjunct. Here's the opposition. Here's the inconjunct. Which he's a guy who's, again, less interested in the constriction of Virgo. He definitely will work. He can work, but he's not interested in the constriction of Virgo and the limitation and the introversion and the introspection, the therapy. He's into this, again, extroversion, Scorpio energy as a form of therapy, as opposed to the introversion of therapy, speaking to someone and talking about your problems. Could say this Mars, though. Mars is in the other end of that in conjunct. So he is you could say he's interested in figuring out what his desires are and going for them. If he is going to do any therapy, he wants to figure out what are my desires and how can I get them. And there's a lot of truth to this guy and his philosophy on life. There's so much more I could talk about in this chart and about his philosophy and uh, how well it works in this life. However, there are some other things to consider. I do not think that it works for everyone. There's just so much to this chart and this man uh, that I'm gonna have to leave it there. If you like the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more great astrology content, philosophy, spirituality, and I hope you have a great day.